Welcome to the DragosNauer.com Executive Chef Kitchen, where we will be making the world-famous strawberry rhubarb pie. Strawberries are in season right now since it is midsummer, and here we have a standard 16-ounce pack. Normally for this pie I use 2, but these are overripe, and hopefully I get 2 full packets out of 3.5-ish. Our cutting board, rolling pin knife, standard equipment, 3 rhubarb stacks, very ripe. Rhubarb is very sour and it has a texture issue. A little grainy, that's why it goes perfectly with strawberries. A lot of people don't realize, but you can put rum in food. Fantastic. A lot of people use a lighter thing like vodka. I prefer rum just because it's so spicy. Sugar, flour, saucepan, vanilla, pie pan, mixer. Everything you need to make a delicious pie. Our first step is to prepare the filling. Here we see our strawberries and our rhubarb already cut. I prefer thin pieces, maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. I don't know if you can see the texture, but it's very fibrous. I'm not sure that shows up on camera. If you were to eat this, it would taste sour, but I don't think you would like the texture of it. Our strawberries, the larger ones I cut in half. The smaller ones I just leave whole. What's going to happen is these are going to soften up, and you'll be able to see them in your pie, but be able to cut right through them. I really like that effect. I'm not sure it really matters, but I prefer to put them in my saucepan with the rhubarb first. That way you'll have the rhubarb on the bottom, and as it cooks it'll soften up the strawberries on top, and the juices will run on top of the rhubarb. The rhubarb, being more fibrous, needs to cook longer. The strawberries, not quite so much. This is about half the strawberries I will cook. Still more scavenging to do, but it is also yummy. And here we see our filling about to cook. We have some eggplant parmesan that has joined the party. On top we have 1.5 cups of brown sugar. I did not mention that in the original ingredient list. I prefer brown sugar for my filling. It's a bit sweeter, and this application deserves the sweetest because both these fruits are tart. This is where you add your vanilla, about 2 tablespoons. I once put too much vanilla in and nobody complained, so who cares? While our filling cooks over medium heat, we are going to make our crust. What we have here is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, white, regular granulated sugar, and a stick and 3/4 of butter cut in small pieces, just like that. We are using butter because it's a little healthier than shortening and gives it kind of a cookie feel. If you don't put sugar in it, nobody's going to say, wow, what a fantastic crust. Sugar makes everything better. We are just making a shortbread. You can do the same thing in your food processor, but my mixer is much easier to clean, and I paid a lot of money for it, so I have to get use out of it. Now, there are 2 ingredients we have not put in this yet. Our old friend vanilla extract has to be added, and rum. Seems strange, doesn't it? What you see here is that this is not going to bind completely. It's going to still be a little powdery. If you put water in it, it'll become very hard, very glutinous. And nowadays people hate gluten. Adding alcohol, the Kraken, my favorite, will circumvent the gluten. Now, some of the alcohol will cook off and some will just make it yummy. I use spice rum because rum and sugar just go so well together. Alright, this is about as much binding as we can expect from our product. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla. Oops, that's a lot. And we have a shot of rum. Whatever I'm not going to use here, I'm going to donate to my drinking. Now watch what happens when you put it in. It starts to bind. Let's put a little more in. Binding a little more. Again, vodka is a very common ingredient for this. It just doesn't have as much style. There we go. That should be plenty. And look how much rum I have left. Better get some fruit juice to mix that with. I make daiquiris tonight. And that is our quick bread crust. We're going to take it off, make 2 balls, and then put this in the fridge. If you leave it sit out, the butter will warm up and it will be very, very hard to keep together when we make our crust. So I am going to put this in the fridge until this cooks. You can't hurry this. Our filling, cooked too quickly, will taste like nothing. We have some spillage from our crust making, which my assistant here, Ben Lyon, is taking care of. Ben, how you doing, Ben? Ben? Keep going. Good boy. Good boy. All the crust making splatter is being taken care of. No mopping today. This is our filling. The strawberries have started giving off their water, and they are boiling nicely. We are going to stir this to try to mix up all the ingredients. I'm going to get my spoon. You don't want to start stirring until you get to this state. And you're going to get some nice soupy mixture here. If you were to taste this right now, your toes would curl. Not everything is ready. When it is, we're going to put 1 cup of all-purpose flour in the filling to make it bind. If you do not do this, the pie will be too runny, and when you cut it open, it'll be like soup. So we are going to cook this for another 5 minutes. Our crust is in the fridge right now, cooling down, and I'm going to prep the work area for our crust making. Alright, we are ready for our flour now. Now this is a crucial step. As soon as you dump the flour in, you have to start stirring. Because if you don't, you're going to leave clumps in there. And that is not good because they will not bind together. They will form little BBs in your food. You don't want that. If you put the flour in before you have a lot of liquid available, this will not work. And if you don't stir it right away and get all the flour dissolved, this will not work. Now you could add more flour or less flour depending on the size of your pan or the amount of moisture in your strawberries. I found that for my 10-inch pie dish, the amount of strawberries I have, 1 cup is about right. For other applications, apple pie, you're going to use less. For most applications, you'll use less. Strawberries just has so much water in them. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect. But you can't have any big globs of stuff. That's about right. You can still see that there's strawberries in this, but it's mostly one mass.